This video is about the gardener walked in the rain until a rich woman made her manager. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. On the outskirts of a bustling city, where the urban sprawl met the whispering woods, there lived a woman named Clara. She was not born into wealth or privilege. Instead, her life unfolded like the petals of a wildflower, beautiful yet unassuming. Clara was a gardener, tending to a small plot belonging to the community center, where her love for plants blossomed into a quiet passion. Each morning, as dawn broke, she would lace up her worn-out boots, splash on her raincoat, and walk down the muddy path towards the center. The rain had a peculiar way of soothing Clara's soul. Each drop sang a gentle melody, washing away her worries. The garden was her refuge, the soul her solace. She often whispered encouragement to the seedlings, urging them to grow strong. "You can do it," she'd say, her hands submerged in the wet earth. "You have everything you need." Despite her dedication, Clara faced constant challenges. The community center, though well-intentioned, struggled with funding. Supplies were limited, and many times she had to make do with what little she had. The garden's splendor often faded with the season, and it pained Clara to see her beloved sanctuary fall into disrepair. Yet, like a persistent sea fighting through the cracks of concrete, Clara's spirit remained unbroken. "Just keep going, Clara," she would tell herself during the hottest days. "Every storm passes." One particularly rainy afternoon, Clara found herself alone in the garden, pruning the overgrown hedges. The droplets cascaded around her, forming puddles that reflected the grey sky. She dug her hands deeper into the soil, feeling the coolness against her skin. As she worked, a sleek car pulled into the community center's parking lot, the tires splashing mud onto the pavement. Out stepped Martha, a wealthy philanthropist known for her generous donations to various causes. Clara had read about her in the news, seen her face on billboards promoting charity events. Today, however, Martha looked out of place in her designer raincoat amidst the plants that had seen better days. Clara's heart raced. This was her chance. Perhaps Martha could see the potential in the garden and contribute. But Clara hesitated, the voice of self-doubt whispering in her ear. What would someone like her want with a muddy plot like this? Martha wandered through the garden, observing the flowers and vegetables with a discerning eye. Clara, unsure of herself, continued her work, stealing glances at the woman who was the embodiment of wealth. When Martha reached Clara, she paused, captivated by the way the gardener moved with grace, even in the rain. "This place has a lot of potential," Martha remarked, her voice warm yet authoritative. "You've done wonders with what you have." Clara looked up, surprised. "Thank you, but it needs more care and resources than I can provide alone." Martha smiled, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Why do you do this, day in and day out, in the rain and sun?" Clara wiped her brow, contemplating her answer. "I believe in the power of growth both in plants and in people. This garden can bring the community together, give them hope." Martha's expression softened. "You really care about this place, don't you?" "With all my heart," Clara replied, feeling a rush of conviction. "It is more than just a garden, it is a refuge for everyone." As the rain continued to pour, Martha's admiration grew. "You have a gift, Clara. I can see your passion, and it inspires me, but this garden needs management, someone to lead and innovate." Clara's heart skipped a beat. "Lead? I am just a gardener." "No, you're a gardener with a vision. I want to help you turn this garden into something extraordinary." A wave of emotions washed over Clara, hope, disbelief, and a glimmer of excitement. "You do really do that for me?" Martha nodded. "Yes, I see the potential here, and with your leadership, we can cultivate not just plants, but a community spirit." That night, Clara lay awake, the rain tapping softly against her window. She thought of the garden, her dreams filled with possibilities. What if they could create workshops, teach kids about nature, organize community events? But doubt lingered at the edges of her mind. What if she failed? Days turned into weeks, and Martha kept her promise. Together, they laid out plans. Clara's days transformed. She began to manage the garden, applying for grants and organizing volunteer days. The community responded, inspired by her unwavering commitment and Martha's support. But with this newfound responsibility also came strain. Clara felt the weight of expectations, doubting her capabilities. She often found herself lost in her thoughts, wondering if she was truly worthy of leading such an endeavor. One evening, as she tidied up after a busy day, a group of children arrived, eager to help. They trampled through the muddy paths, giggling and shouting with delight. Clara watched them, her heart swelling with warmth. "Can we plant flowers today?" One of the girls asked, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. Of course, let us make this place even more beautiful, Clara replied, her spirit lifting. As they dug together, Clara shared stories of the plants and how they grew, fostering a connection between the children and the earth. Laughter filled the air, blending with the sound of rain falling softly around them. For the first time in weeks, Clara felt the blooming confidence inside her. I can do this, she thought. I can lead. The weeks flew by, and with each meeting, every event, Clara's determination only grew stronger. She had become a beacon for the community, inspiring others to get involved, to believe in the beauty of growth. But just as the garden began to thrive, Clara faced a new storm. A sudden drought hit the region, and funding for the community center dwindled. The joy that had filled the garden now seemed a distant memory as she struggled to keep plants alive. Late one evening, as Clara sat in the midst of wilting leaves, a sense of despair enveloped her. I can't let this garden die, she whispered to herself. I won't give up. The next morning, Clara rose with renewed strength. I must find a way, she declared, rallying volunteers to help with fundraising efforts. They organized bake sales, crafting workshops, and even a community concert. As Clara worked side by side with her neighbors, she realized that they were not just supporting the garden, they were building a family. Despite the setbacks, Clara often found herself laughing, the sound ringing like water droplets against the resilient earth. She had cultivated not just plants, but bonds of kindness and resilience. Through every challenge, she discovered the unyielding spirit within herself and was fueled by the love of her community. As the drought lessened, Clara noticed the first signs of life returning to the garden. The flowers began to bloom again, vibrant colors against the backdrop of green. In that moment, the garden felt like a promise renewed of hope, of second chances. Clara stood tall, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face, the whispers of the soil beneath her fingers. With each droplet of rain, she realized her journey had only begun, one where she would continue to walk boldly through every storm and sunny day ahead. And so, the gardener walked in the rain, carrying not just the weight of her dreams, but the hopes of a community she had united. All the while, her heart blossomed alongside the flowers, nourished by resilience and love. Little did she know her story was just beginning. Clara stood in the garden, the warm sun on her shoulders and the sweet scent of blooming flowers wafting through the air. After the drought, the garden had returned to life, vibrant and full of promise. Yet, deep inside her, Clara sensed the weight of expectations pressing down. Her role as a manager felt daunting. The past few months had pushed her in ways she never anticipated. One afternoon, as Clara squatted to tie back a wayward vine, she overheard two women chatting nearby. Did you see the garden? It is so beautiful now. Clara really has a way with plants, one woman exclaimed. I just wish it wasn't so chaotic. There is so much to do, the other replied, doubt threading her tone. I heard they were struggling to keep it funded. Clara felt her heart sink. She had worked tirelessly, yet it seemed some still questioned her ability to lead. She stood up, wiping her hands on her jeans, steeling herself. Today was not the day to succumb to self-doubt. Excuse me? Clara called, approaching the two women. I overheard you talking about the garden. I appreciate the support, but I could use your help. Would you be willing to volunteer for our next event? First woman smiled, her eyes lighting up. Of course, I'd love to help. The second woman hesitated, glancing at her friend. I guess I could pitch in too, as long as it is not too overwhelming. Perfect. Clara replied, her heart lifting as they discussed the upcoming summer fair. She felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was not alone in this after all. As they finalized details, Clara sensed the excitement returning to her heart like the blooming flowers around her. They spoke of games, food stalls, and community workshops. This was more than an event, it was a celebration of resilience, a testament to what they had achieved together. Weeks passed, and the summer fair approached. Clara was a whirlwind of activity, checking off lists and preparing for the big day. She felt the rush of nerves, but knew that she was ready. The garden was thriving again, and the community was firmly behind her. On the day of the fair, Clara arrived early, the sun shining brightly. The garden was transformed into a lively hub with colorful banners, laughter, and the smell of baked goods wafting through the air. She took a deep breath, absorbing the energy around her. Clara, look at this, a young boy shouted, holding a painted flower pot he'd just decorated. I made it for my mom. Clara knelt beside him, her smile wide. It is beautiful, she is going to love it. You have a real talent for art. The boy beamed, and Clara's heart swelled with pride. Moments like these reminded her why she had poured her heart into this garden. It was a sanctuary for creativity, growth, and connection, a place where even the smallest hands could cultivate something special. As the day unfolded, Clara found herself surrounded by laughter, chatter, and the joy of the community coming together. Neighbors mingled, children played, and old friends reconnected. She marveled at how far they had come. Amidst the festivities, Clara spotted Martha, who had been a guiding light through her journey. The philanthropist stood by a stall, admiring handcrafted garden decorations made by local artisans. Clara rushed over, her heart full. "Martha, look at how beautiful everything turned out," Clara exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. "Oh, Clara, it is more than beautiful, it is magical," Martha replied, her eyes sparkling. "This garden has become the heart of the community." Clara felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. "I couldn't have done it without your support. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Martha smiled softly. "You are a leader, Clara. You brought people together in ways I never imagined." As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the garden, Clara gathered everyone for a closing speech. She stood on a small platform, her heart racing with anticipation. The crowd hushed, the energy shifting from playful to reverent. "Thank you, everyone, for being here today," Clara began, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "This garden is not just a collection of plants. It is a symbol of our resilience, our hope, and our unity. Together, we have faced challenges, and together, we have thrived." As she spoke, Clara could see faces light up, hear whispers of support and understanding. Every flower here represents a story, a struggle, and a victory. We are all part of this garden, and just like the plants, we must support each other to grow. Applause erupted, and Clara felt a warmth envelop her. In that moment, she understood that her doubts had been seeds of fear. They could either wither away or sprout into blossoms of strength. She chose the latter. After the fair concluded, Clara found herself with renewed energy. As she cleaned up, she realized the garden had become a sanctuary for her, too. It was no longer just about the plants, but also about nurturing the bonds that had formed and the love shared within the community. Days turned to weeks, and Clara continued to evolve in her role. She worked tirelessly, organizing monthly events that brought people together. During one such afternoon, she stood with a group of teenagers, teaching them about composting. "You see, this is a cycle of life," she explained, showing them how food scraps became nourishment for the soil. "Just like us, everything is interconnected." One of the boys raised his hand. "So, when we help the garden, we're helping ourselves, too." "Exactly," Clara replied, her heart leaping. "By caring for this garden, we're re-nurturing our community and our futures." As the seasons changed, Clara's confidence blossomed alongside the flowers. She faced challenges, of course, rainstorms that threatened the crops, weeds that crept in, and moments of doubt that still lingered. Yet she learned to confront them with a steadfast heart, drawing strength from the community around her. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, Clara sat on the garden bench, feeling overwhelmed. She had lost a grant she had hoped for, and the fear of failure crept back in. "Don't let it dim your light, Clara," she whispered to herself. Just then, a young girl, one of the first volunteers, approached her, holding a small bouquet of daisies. "Clara, look, I picked these for you," the girl said, her face beaming with pride. "Thank you for teaching me about flowers." Clara's heart melted as she took the daisies, their bright yellow petals a reminder of sunshine. "These are beautiful, thank you so much, you brightened my day." The girl smiled, and Clara realized that even in moments of uncertainty, her impact on these young lives was immeasurable. It was not just about the garden, it was about sowing seeds of hope and resilience into the hearts of those around her. As the season changed into fall, Clara and her community prepared for the Harvest Festival. Together, they planted seeds of gratitude, celebrating the abundance that had flourished in their lives. The garden became a tapestry of colors, filled with pumpkins, gourds, and the last blooms of summer. On the day of the festival, Clara stood in the center of the garden, surrounded by laughter, music, and the aroma of delicious food. She watched as families gathered, sharing stories and smiles, their connections strengthened by the very soil she had nurtured. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Clara took a moment to reflect. She had journeyed through storms and sunshine, facing fears and embracing love. The garden was a living testament to the beauty of resilience, a symbol of the indomitable human spirit. "Here, Estos," she called out, raising a glass of apple cider. "To our community, our strength, and the garden that has brought us together." Cheers erupted, and Clara felt a wave of joy wash over her. In that moment, she knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be, walking in the rain, surrounded by the beauty of growth, and united with the hearts of those she had inspired. And as the stars began to twinkle above, Clara whispered a silent promise to herself and the garden. No matter what storms come my way, I will continue to nurture this beautiful life we've built together. The beauty of resilience thrived within her, a flame that would never dim. As the first frost kissed the leaves, Clara stood at the threshold of the garden, a bittersweet feeling washing over her. The vibrant colors of summer had faded into warm hues of orange and brown. Despite the beauty of the season, she felt a twinge of sorrow. The bustling harvest festival had been a success, yet Clara could sense a stillness creeping into the garden, a reminder of the changing seasons that awaited them. Change can be beautiful, Clara, she whispered to herself, recalling the way the community had flourished together. It was time to embrace the new chapter ahead. As she tucked away gardening tools for winter, her mind buzzed with ideas for the upcoming months. "Clara, can I help?" A familiar voice broke through her thoughts. It was Lily, the same young girl who had presented her with daisies weeks before. "Of course, Lily. Let us make sure the garden is ready for winter," Clara replied, her heart lifting at the sight of the eager child. Two spent the day gathering fallen leaves and preparing the soil for the winter months ahead. Clara taught Lily how to compost the organic matter they collected, showing her how it would nourish the earth when spring returned. "Why do we need to protect the garden in winter?" Lily asked, her small hands busy raking the leaves. "Winter is a time for rest, just like us," Clara explained, pausing to look into the girl's curious eyes. "The garden may seem asleep, but it is preparing for a new season. We need to help it hibernate so it can bloom again." Lily nodded, processing the information. "Just like we need to rest after school and take care of ourselves." "Exactly. It is all about balance," Clara beamed, proud of Lily's insight. "Just like the garden, we must nurture our spirits too." As the weeks passed, Clara continued to draw the community closer, even as winter settled in. They'd organized a series of workshops on sustainable gardening indoors, enabling families to cultivate their green thumbs even as the cold winds blew outside. Clara felt invigorated by the new ideas, and the workshops became a hub of creativity and connection. One crisp Saturday morning, Clara prepared for a workshop on indoor gardening. She stood in front of a group of eager participants, each one armed with small pots and soil. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to plant herbs that you can use in your kitchens. Let us bring a little green into our homes this winter." As she guided them through the planting process, Clara felt a surge of joy. The energy in the room was electric, filled with laughter and shared stories. "Clara, I've never done anything like this before," the middle-aged woman named Sarah exclaimed, her hands covered in soil. "You're doing great, Sarah. It's all about trying something new," Clara encouraged. As she glanced around the room, she saw not just pots and soil, but relationships, blooming neighbors connecting, sharing their experiences, and learning from one another. Each person was planting more than herbs. They were sowing seeds of hope. Just as Clara felt the excitement of community, she received an unexpected call from Martha. She had news that sent waves of uncertainty rippling through Clara. "Clara, I've been informed that the community center is facing severe budget cuts. We need to secure more funding to keep the garden alive." Clara's heart sank. What if we don't succeed? What if Ivy failed everyone? She thought, battling the dread that threatened to consume her. "Martha, I don't know how we'll manage," Clara confessed, her voice shaky. "Together, we'll figure it out. We've made such progress, and I believe in the vision we created. You've inspired so many. Let us rally the community again. We've done it before." Martha reassured her. After hanging up, Clara stared out the window, watching the snowflakes dance in the air. A storm was brewing, but she refused to let fear dictate her path. She rallied the community for a meeting, hoping their collective strength would illuminate the way forward. On the night of the meeting, Clara entered the community center, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. People filled the room, faces illuminated by the warm glow of fairy lights. "Thank you all for coming," Clara began, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "As you know, we've encountered challenges with funding, but I believe in our mission, in what we've built together, and I know we can overcome this." A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd, and Clara could feel the energy shift. "Let us brainstorm ways we can raise funds and keep the garden thriving. What ideas do you have?" she encouraged. Volunteers emerged with suggestions: bake sales, a winter festival, even an art exhibition featuring local artists. Clara felt her spirit soar as the ideas flowed, a testament to their resilience and unity. "Let us set a date for the winter festival. We can showcase the garden's journey, our community's artistry, and what we can achieve together," Clara proposed, her heart swelling with hope. When the winter festival day arrived, Clara's heart raced with anticipation. The garden was transformed, adorned with twinkling lights, handmade ornaments, and the scent of hot cocoa wafting through the crisp air. Families wandered through the paths, marveling at the winter decorations crafted from recycled materials. Clara watched as children crafted holiday decorations, their laughter mingling with the sounds of old friends reuniting and new connections forming. "Clara, come see?" Lily tugged at her arm, leading her to a booth where the young girl had showcased potted herbs for sale. "Look, I sold some of my plants." Lily beamed, her eyes sparkling with pride. Clara knelt beside her, overwhelmed with emotion. "I am so proud of you, Lily. You were an inspiration to everyone here." The festival was a success, bringing in funds that surpassed their expectations. Clara realized they had not only raised money but also strengthened their bonds as a community. Yet, even amid the triumph, Clara faced challenges. Doubts still lingered in her mind. Would the garden survive the harsh winter? Would they find enough resources for the upcoming season? One afternoon, as Clara stood alone in the garden surrounded by snow, she felt an ache of uncertainty. Just then, a familiar voice called from behind her. "Clara, is everything all right?" It was Martha. Clara turned, her heart heavy. "I am just worried about what comes next. I feel the weight of it all." Martha stepped closer, her eyes understanding. "Remember, Clara, every garden goes through its own seasons. You've already cultivated resilience, trust in what you've built, and don't hesitate to lean on us." As the weeks rolled on, Clara found herself feeling lighter, realizing she didn't need to carry the weight alone. Together, they forged ahead, planning for spring workshops and community events. The winter melted into spring, bringing vibrant life back to the garden. Clara stood at the entrance, arms open wide, welcoming the community back to a place that had become more than just a garden. It was a sanctuary of dreams and hope. On the first warm day, Clara gathered everyone for a planting day, their laughter echoing through the garden as they dug into the soil. "Today, we're replanting more than just seeds. We're replanting dreams," Clara announced, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "Let us cultivate our hopes together, just as we've nurtured this garden." As they worked side by side, Clara felt a profound sense of belonging, each person's efforts contributing to a shared vision. Among them, Clara found her own strength growing tenfold. As the seasons continued to change, the garden flourished, becoming a vibrant tapestry of life. Clara had learned to embrace challenges, knowing they were stepping stones toward growth. One sunny afternoon, as Clara stood watching children play in the garden, she realized that she had not only nurtured plants but had also cultivated a spirit of resilience in those around her. The garden had become a living testament to the human spirit, the strength that arises when people come together and believe in one another. "Clara, look!" Lily exclaimed, running toward her with a handful of flowers. "I planted these for you." Clara knelt, her heart filled with warmth. "They were beautiful, Lily. Thank you for sharing your growth with me." In that moment, surrounded by laughter and joy, Clara understood that every storm she had faced had only fortified her spirit. Together, they had sown seeds of hope and nurtured a flourishing community. She had learned that even amidst uncertainty, love and resilience would always guide them forward. As Clara looked into the horizon, watching the sun dip below the trees, she whispered a silent promise: "No matter what comes, I will continue to walk through the rain, nurturing this garden and the hearts that call it home." And as the stars began to twinkle above, Clara knew they would thrive together, always seeking the beauty that lay within every season of life. The days grew warmer as spring unfolded, blanketing Clara's garden in a vibrant array of colors. The once bare branches were transformed into lush canopies of green, bursting with promise. Clara stood at the garden's threshold, reveling in the anticipation of new growth, both in the plants she nurtured and the community she had cultivated. "Clara!" Lily's voice rang out, a melody echoing in the air. The little girl raced towards her, a bouquet of freshly picked daisies clutched in her hands. "Look what I found!" Lily exclaimed, her face flushed with excitement. "They were blooming." "They were beautiful, Lily, just like you," Clara replied, kneeling to admire the flowers. "You've done a great job taking care of them." Lily beamed, her pride palpable. "I want to plant more. Can we have a flower section this year? Pretty ones that everyone can see?" Clara chuckled, feeling the warmth of joy bloom within her. "Absolutely. Let us create a whole flower bed together. It will be our special project." As they gathered supplies, Clara's heart swelled with gratitude. The garden was no longer just a patch of earth, it was a sanctuary of dreams, a canvas for creativity, and a testament to their collective resilience. Each seed they planted was a promise, not only to grow flowers but to foster hope. Weeks passed, and Clara watched as the garden flourished. Families returned, eager to lend a hand, and laughter echoed through the paths as children played among the blooms. However, even amid the joy, Clara felt an unsettling weight in her chest. The funding challenges loomed overhead like dark clouds, threatening to overshadow their progress. One evening, as Clara sat on the garden bench, the sun dipping below the horizon, she noticed Martha approaching. The philanthropist had been a guiding light throughout Clara's journey, her unwavering support to comfort during turbulent times. "Clara," Martha began, a serious tone in her voice. "I wanted to discuss the upcoming grant applications." Clara's heart raced. "I've been trying to gather as much information as possible, but I am worried we won't secure enough funding. The competition is fierce." Martha nodded thoughtfully. "I understand. It is tough out there, but you have something special, a community that believes in you and the work you're doing. That is invaluable." "What if it is not enough?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. "What if I let everyone down?" Martha placed a reassuring hand on Clara's shoulder. "You haven't let anyone down. You've built something beautiful here, and regardless of the outcome, you have inspired so many. Focus on that." Clara took a deep breath, absorbing Martha's words. Perhaps it was time to shift her perspective. Instead of fearing failure, she could embrace the journey and the connections that had blossomed through their shared efforts. As the applications were submitted, Clara organized a community meeting to discuss their next steps. The day arrived, and she stood before a crowd of familiar faces, her heart pounding. "Thank you all for coming. I know we be facing uncertainty, but we're in this together." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Clara continued, "Let us brainstorm some new ideas to enhance the garden and attract more visitors. We need to evolve and adapt to ensure our survival. What can we create together?" A hand shot up. It was Sarah, the middle-aged woman who had discovered her love for gardening through Clara's workshops. "We could host a plant swap, invite everyone to bring seedlings or cuttings to exchange. It'll attract people and give them a taste of what we were doing." "That is a fantastic idea," Clara encouraged, her spirits lifting. "What else?" The room buzzed with enthusiasm. People suggested everything from themed gardening workshops to local art exhibits showcasing the garden's beauty. Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose as ideas flowed, each one a thread weaving them closer together. After the meeting, Clara and a few volunteers began preparing for the plant swap. They crafted colorful flyers, distributed them throughout the community, and spread the word through social media. As the date approached, Clara felt a sense of excitement mixed with trepidation. Would people show up? Would the garden thrive? On the day of the event, Clara arrived early to set up. The garden was alive with the energy of budding plants and the promise of connection. As the sun rose higher in the sky, people began to trickle in, carrying pots of seedlings and bags of soil. "Clara, look at my plants!" Lily exclaimed, bouncing on her toes, a collection of vibrant potted flowers in her hands. "They were stunning. Lily, you've worked hard. Let us find you a spot to display them," Clara replied, her heart swelling with pride. As the swap commenced, Clara mingled with guests, sharing stories of growth and gardening tips. Laughter filled the air, mingling with the scent of earth and blooms. Clara watched as neighbors exchanged plants, not just seedlings but experiences and connections. It was a beautiful dance of community, each person playing their part. Later in the afternoon, Clara took a moment to catch her breath. She stood at the edge of the garden, her heart full as she watched the joy around her. Just then, Martha approached, her eyes sparkling with delight. "Clara, this is incredible. You've created something truly special here." "Thank you, Martha," Clara replied, her voice brimming with emotion. "It is not just me, it is all of us. Together, we've built this." As the event wound down, Clara felt a renewed sense of hope. They had gathered not only plants but a sense of belonging, a shared commitment to nurture the garden and each other. However, that night, Clara felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her. She lay in bed, her mind racing. The weight of future uncertainties pressed heavily on her heart. What if the garden couldn't survive? What if the funding never came through? "Clara, stop," she whispered to herself, sitting up. "You can control everything. Focus on what you've built, the love that surrounds you." Determined to shake off the doubts, Clara returned to the garden the next day. She poured her energy into planting, nurturing each seedling as if it held the essence of the community within. Weeks turned into months, and the garden continued to flourish. With the success of the plant swap, Clara organized seasonal workshops that attracted families from all over the city. Each gathering was a celebration of growth, a testament to resilience and community spirit. But just as Clara felt she was gaining momentum, she received news that shook her to the core. The community centre board had decided that they would not allocate funds for the garden in the upcoming budget cycle. Clara felt as if the ground beneath her had shifted, uncertainty shadowing her heart. "Clara, we need to talk," Martha said, urgency in her voice. Clara nodded, her throat tight. "I know what you were going to say." Martha sat, worry etched on her face. "I am so sorry. I fought for this." But they reaffirmed in their decision. "We need to come up with a new plan fast. You've done amazing work, but we can't lose the garden." Clara's heart sank. "What can we do? I feel like I've failed." "No, Clara, you haven't failed. You've created a community that believes in this garden. Let us organize a fundraiser, rally support like we did with the swap. We can make this work," Martha urged. With renewed determination, Clara put together a plan. They organized a fundraising gala, reaching out to local businesses and community members for support. Clara spent sleepless nights writing proposals and securing donations. As the night of the gala arrived, Clara stood in the garden, the glow of fairy lights illuminating the landscape. She felt a sense of nervous excitement coursing through her. This was their chance to save the garden, to secure its future. Guests began to arrive, the air filled with laughter, music, and the scent of fresh blooms. Clara mingled, sharing stories of the garden and its impact on the community. She felt the love and support surrounding her, propelling her forward. "We can do this," Clara thought, her heart racing. "We can make a difference." As the evening unfolded, Clara took a moment to reflect. She had poured her heart and soul into this garden, and she knew that regardless of the outcome, it had brought people together in a way she had never imagined. "Ladies and gentlemen," Clara called, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Thank you for being here tonight. This garden is not just a collection of plants, it is a symbol of our resilience, our hope, and our unity. Together, we have the power to nurture this space and ensure it thrives for generations to come." Clara's words echoed through the crowd, and she could feel the energy shift. People nodded, their hearts igniting with passion and purpose. By the night's end, Clara felt a tidal wave of gratitude wash over her. They had raised enough funds to sustain the garden for another year, but more importantly, they had rekindled the spirit of community. As Clara stood in the garden, surrounded by her neighbors, she realized that her fears had been mere shadows. The garden had become a haven of connections, a testament to the beauty of resilience and the strength of the human spirit. In the months that followed, the garden thrived. Clara found not only the strength to lead, but the courage to embrace each season of change.